Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast, Who TFRU. Tonight we've got a very special episode. It is a GrOp gangbang. We are getting it on tonight.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It's a GrOp gangbang. No,
out.
just kidding. I want out. I didn't sign up for this. I want my keys back. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're the only female in here, Vic.
No, that's bad. That's not okay.
Oh, no.
That has changed the entire dynamic of this conversation.
Oh, it's a heck of a way to start it.
This is so perfect. This is perfect. This is way better than I ever thought. FBI, open up! Remus coming in with the, oh my God. Oh boy, okay, as we continue, folks, you read that right. This is the GrOp group, one of the strongest members, I think one of the strongest teams, arguably one of the most tenacious, and I don't know, we definitely have a good mentality in us, but we've got some of the top members of the group together, and we're just got an open conversation about the game, where it is, where it's going, where it's been. But to start us all off, we're going to go around the horn, get a little introduction into who you are. Just let us know what your in-game name, what your might is, and maybe what your main focus is. Let's start with Stefan.
Well, in-game, my in-game name is Marvin. My current might is to 111 million. That's the approximate average that I usually stay at right now.
Nice.
And I don't know what else you answer. Sorry.
What's your main focus? Are you a rider main, infantry main, range main?
Oh, range. Yeah, range main. Yeah,
nice.
Range.
259 mil range main. I love it. Okay, cool. Chad, next with you.
I think I'm 253 million right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on the game, so I'm not sure. And my name is Chad of the Shire, by the way, and I'm rider main.
Nice. How about Pixel?
Hi guys, my name is Pixel, Killer Pixel Cookie in game. Actually, I changed it because of Chad, because he quit. But it's Killer Pixel Cookie in game, and I'm at 164.6 million might, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What else you want to know?
What's your main focus?
Infantry.
Sadly. So that's a range, that's a rider, that's an infantry. See, a good mix. Fire Medic, let's go with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. In-game name, Fire Medic 59. 285 mil might. Infantry main, Garrison Rally.
We've gone for Fire Medic D3. Let's introduce yourself for me.
My name is a gun. It's D3. 200 million might. Infantry main player.
Jeez, I forgot how strong you guys all are. I'm sitting over here at 175, 180 million. You're all like 280, 250, 260. Ugh.
You love your rally and garrison. You let a lot of those babies die.
Yeah, I got to be able to fill them rallies and garrisons. You're right. And lastly, Remus, join us up on the end there. How you doing?
I'm good. Go by Remus in game as well. Around 160 to 170 million might. Range main.
Nice. So first and foremost, after we've done introductions, I want to say thanks y'all for joining me. I know that especially these types of things, people can get a little, they get shy, they get this kind of stuff. I want y'all to know that I just appreciate y'all for coming out here. Understand that, the voice of the community is something that I'm very, very adamant to pushing. So I appreciate y'all for taking the time and joining me in this conversation. And I hope you guys learned something, especially y'all at home. If you're tuning in, at home and you just got off a hard day, I hope you guys enjoy this as much as we do. This is going to be a good, fun time. Now, before we get started, I do have one quick question for you. If you had a choice right now to go back in time before you played the game, would you still load the game up today?
Absolutely.
Pixel says absolutely. What'd you say, Fire Medic?
I don't think so.
Pixel or a Fire Medic wouldn't? How about you, D3?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, you wouldn't either, hey?
No, unfortunately.
I would get away from it. I would get away and save the money.
We're leaving pretty quickly, Chad. What about you? We already know your opinion.
No, yeah, I wouldn't. And I would have missed out on a lot of good things, though. But no, I definitely wouldn't have played the game if I'd have known that it was going to be the time consuming beast that it had become.
How about yourself, Remus? Last one on the totem pole. What would you say?
Had I known it was going to be this expensive, I probably would have rejoined World of Warcraft first.
Well, Pixel, how does it feel being the only one, who's jumping back on the train? Well, let's be clear.
I will not lie. For me,
Yeah.
the game from the beginning itself has always been more about the community than the gameplay itself.
Sure.
So, to
So-
say that would I go back in time and not play, I don't think that would be right because, it's the people that I play for. Even
Right.
now, I could quit like any day, but it's the people that I'm playing for.
That's exactly what I was going to make
Okay,
the point
so-
out. Hold on a second. I want to add
But
because I didn't get to say my opinion. I was going to say I agree with Pixel. I would still go back and play the game, not just because I've created my, my entire image, right, based on this, but I look at it, I'm like, exactly like she said, it's the players that we meet. I wouldn't have met any of you guys, and my life would not be near as, as fun, near as playful than it would be with you guys in it. So I can totally appreciate that. However, knowing what it costs, it puts me on the fence a little bit. I don't know if I would. I'm really undecided.
No, so
So-
see, that's the thing, right? I've never ever been a high spender. Like, even now, like
Exactly.
it's a very known fact that I barely spend like $20 in game every month.
Yeah.
And even if I didn't spend that, I don't think it would make a difference because $20 is just nothing to IGG at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, it's the same thing. For me, even if I was a big spender and you asked me this question, I would say I would go back in time and I would not spend as much.
Yeah.
But I would still
Yeah.
play the game.
Exactly.
So
you guys
that's the
fucked up.
point that I was gonna make.
Yeah.
I was gonna add that. When you said that, I noticed that everybody that said that they wouldn't play again were people that have spent probably a significant amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the people factor is important because look at me. I stopped playing, but here I am in chat with you guys.
Sure.
So the people factor is important, but I only needed the game to be introduced to you. I only needed the game to get to know you guys in battle.
Yeah.
But the game itself is not worth the time and the money that we in turn invested in it. Because I don't know about everybody else, but I lost track of how much I invested, to be honest. But it got away from me.
That's what they want you to do, Chad. They want you to
Yeah.
forget.
It got away from me. But I can see how people that didn't put in as much in monetarily, I can see how they were like, yeah, I'd repeat it because to them they're retaining all of the positives and they have fewer of the negatives,
Right.
while we're having to deal with the other end of that, which is a very substantial negative side.
That's a really, really good point. And I think that's half the reason why I like to have these conversations, because what we've effectively got is a conversation between what we would consider, like what GrOp would consider is one of our whales versus one of our free-to-play or low-spending players. So seeing that different perspective is massive to most people because like I talked about in my previous podcast I did today, one of the things that I think is really fractured in the community is the separation between the whales and the rest of the community. It's almost like the whales themselves have kind of set themselves out of the community because they have so much control on what things can get changed and what pressure gets put on the developers and things like that, right? And it's like they're almost disconnected from it. And we kind of see that just even in the conversation that we're having here, just in the experience itself.
I do want to say something about this. Like, okay, I understand that, okay, as a free player, I should not, or no, I'm not a free player. I'm definitely not. I'm a low spender.
Mm-hmm.
And I should definitely, have like a fully biased opinion towards that. Oh, it's fucked up. We're not getting like, a good kind of reward system from IGG. We're not getting this. We're not getting that. I should be the one to complain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the struggle for like players all across the board. Like as a whale, I call you a whale, Chad. It doesn't matter. As a whale, Chad has struggled with not spending money because he just cannot seem to not want to stop.
Yeah.
Like he wants to like stay there, right? Like he wants to keep his growth going. There is no he can stop. as a low spender, I keep feeling like I'm falling behind. Like with every single update, I keep feeling like I'm falling behind,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
way further than I was. So, all across the board, there is issues. And I'm saying this, like, a lot of players are like Chad. They do not want to spend, but they have to because they don't want to fall behind.
Yeah, that fear of missing out is a real bitch in this game for sure. Especially when there's
Yeah.
things that you can't get anymore. Like you can't get the other co-op beast or the other collab beast, the knife head of the Tachi. You can't get those anymore. You can't get Mai anymore, or Marco, or what's his name? Lance Bass. No. What's his name? Jack Bronte.
Did you really just call him Lance?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Bass on it.
I was hoping you'd catch that one. Yeah, I did call him Lance Bass. But it's it's one of those things that fear of missing out is an absolute real thing. And, just like you mentioned, every new update, even the little bit that I spend, it doesn't feel like it's going near as far. Like people are going, especially with this most recent one. And this is kind of a good segue into the first kind of topic that we want to talk on tonight, which is the most recent update, that refinery update. So before we dive too far into it, let's just get some, blatant opinions on it. Fire Medic, why don't you start us off? What is your opinion, first look opinion at the refinery?
I still don't really get a full grasp of it. I mean, without spending money to get the good frags that you're going to get from it, I
Mhm.
don't know how else to get good frags. I mean, I haven't spent any money towards it yet at all. I didn't even get the extra refinery pack so that I can refine more.
Mhm.
And I have maybe 2 gold pieces, and I just got them today because I used one of the free chips that you get that you add on to your refinement to,
Yeah, the augmenters.
to better your chance.
Mm-hmm.
The augmenters, yeah. I had 3 of those. I used 2 of them. Or actually, I used all 3. I got 2 legendary pieces or gold pieces and 1 green piece.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, and one of them was for food gathering. And it was like, okay, it's just another money grab.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the biggest thing with this game is if they had a balanced way of pairing when it comes to events. Granted, I'm 285 mil, and I have a pretty strong infantry. I've spent a lot of money in this game. I've spent it recklessly and didn't feel I should be a lot stronger than what I am right now.
Do you honestly feel like you're
And
not hitting enough? Like you don't hit hard enough?
no, I don't
Yeah.
at times, and even though I have good bees, and then cutting back on spending has slowed me down and put me behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of the big push when I did spend was, I started out pretty good in this game. And then it was like, I felt like I needed to keep going to maintain so that I could be there for my alliance.
Right.
And when you're forced to cut back on spending, um, it puts you in a situation where you feel like you're letting your team down because now you're falling behind as far as strength goes,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't feel like you're hitting as hard. And when you're not hitting as hard and you can't defend against the mega whales out there, it's like, what's the point? I'm letting my team members down. So it's a double-edged sword, and I think the matchmaking plays a lot into that. This game has got to get better with its matchmaking so that it's fun for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, I could be 285 mil, but there's people out there with less power than me that can kick my ass on the field because they prepared their accounts better than I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
That's the things I like about this alliance here is we have people in this alliance that will go one-on-one with you. You did it with me. Sit down and look at your account and say, oh no, you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You're carrying too many armament sets. You don't need this many. And it's like, Jesus, I spent all this money to get these armament sets so that I have them. And now you're telling me I don't need them,
Right.
and it's true. I mean, I've learned a lot since joining this alliance. And, just because somebody may have a lot of might doesn't mean their account is as strong as it should be for that might level.
It's I mean, it's a good thing you bring up. I'm just going to jump in 2 seconds here because one of the biggest things that we kind of have a mentality about, and I think everyone kind of respects this, is that we focus more on like what our active might is. It's not just about what your overall might is, but it's like what can you actually do with that. And
Right.
Having this mentality of always kind of punching up versus punching down has really been a mentality I think that we foster pretty heavily in GrOp. And I think I give a mad props to everybody who's a part of that. Losing out on might and specifically keeping troop count low, or specifically like working on just tier 1 cars, even things like that. Like it shows the dedication that is required to make an alliance run really well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to that separation between the haves and the have-nots, right?
Yeah. And when it comes to the refinery, it's like it's going to be another long, tedious process to get the frags that you need to get. And if you're not a spender, you're not going to do well, and you're gonna fall further behind, because the people that are spending are, if they are spending wisely, will know where to put their money and how to get the better frags.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. What about you, D3? What do you think about the new refinery?
I actually like it. I like the versatility of it. Just based on everything else they've added to the game, this is basically the cheapest way to add any type of power. You can literally get a couple of high quality pieces to your account for less than 1,000 gold. So I think it adds some variability there. I think it's one of the most accessible things they've added. But I just don't like the timing of it. I think this could have waited a while.
What time? Like what part would they be waiting for? Do you think?
There's other aspects to the game to improve. There's so many things that people can have issues with, and a lot of lag in different situations. It's like, why? What sense does it make to add a new vertical in power to the game instead of fixing the other issues first?
Yeah, I get it. They got a lot of things to fix first.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that people, we still got questions on. We're still trying to figure out what more they're going to do with beasts and stuff. I can understand that even that might have a later phase, but what sense does it make to add a brand new vertical?
Yeah.
Maybe they should have added this first instead of beasts. If beasts aren't fully ready, like maybe just added that first instead of beasts.
Well, that kind of opens up another question for me when I look at like the updates that they have, because beasts were one of those things that they did kind of release and didn't know how they were going to affect things. And only now, once you start to look at how once they've progressed, that's kind of why I think they haven't done genes yet, is that they saw how impactful chips were and they went, oh shit, if we put out genes now, we're in trouble. Because it really kind of did change the whole dynamic of fighting. So I think that they've had to, I think the reason why they've had to release this, now that I think about it, is literally to balance out what they want to do with beasts later, with genes coming in. They have to make the troops worth more, because right now the beasts are so impactful on those fights. And you see that every single time, and we saw that in GW today. The garrison peaking up to 70,000 troop damage. Like, what?
Yeah, it's scary.
70,000 damage? That's crazy to come through in basic attack damage every 3 to 6 seconds. So it's like...
Yeah, Z was showing us some reports today on stream. He was getting up to like 120 in that damn fucking account he's got.
Yeah. But this becomes my point, right? If you're smart about it, the gap between the haves and the have-nots becomes exponential with every new update. And so like you mentioned, it's almost like they have to take a second, and I wish they would take a second, stop, slow down, wait on releases, all that kind of stuff. Give us some time to get used to what we're playing with before they, start pounding out more stuff. But now we have the refinery, and that's an easy, what could be massive amounts of stats. You'll see tier 1 cars beating tier 6 infantry. Like, it's crazy.
That would be scary.
Everyone's building tier 1 cars now. It'll be crazy. So, what about you, Marvin? What about you? What's your opinion on the refinery? Just joshing with you.
It's great. I just wish I would have held on to the items I had before going and selling them without knowing really their value.
Mm,
But no, it's a great thing. It's a great add to the game. I like the versatility of it.
sure.
How I don't know who it was that said it earlier, but they mentioned how versatile it was, that you would be able to refine and just hone into one specific stat and get a huge boost in stats for relatively, not too pricey, because you can find these in auction house for a low price. So no, I like it.
Yeah.
And I think you made a good, strong point with the beast and how impactful they were, or they are,
Mm-hmm.
and how they had to balance it,
Mm-hmm.
adding more strength into the troops and the base, maybe attack part of the damage being dealt within the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's gonna come up, and they're working on balancing everything, but they're not able to do anything right. So
Well, I look at it and I go, they're balancing it in a weird way. Like most game developers will release updates and then they'll adjust the updates, right? Like they'll release a new hero. They go, oh, that hero's hitting too hard, so let's change its stats a little bit. Let's balance it out that way. Well, these guys, they balance it just by adding new shit. Instead of like changing the metrics and changing how they actually work, they're just like, we'll just add a new metric to balance it out. I'm like, that's such a weird way to like balance your game just by adding stacking stuff on top. You can't. Have you ever tried to build a Lego tower and like not have the right size pieces? Trying to build with Lego blocks and the big Chunko blocks at the same time. They don't fit. Well, there's a reason why they don't fit. You're building with the wrong blocks, man. Like you need a good foundation. It's like, it seems like they're just like, yeah, just throw more shit on.
well, I mean, when they introduced the survivors and the tactical teams, I mean, it's often overlooked.
Mhm.
Like people don't take it seriously, and it's very good. Like the Doomsday bone that you can get and level up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are good stats, and they've kind of throw that at us and just let it there and not care about it anymore. Like we barely have any ways to use the rescue files. I
Mhm.
mean, there's Allies League now that you can get those missions, but it's the only place you can really get anything from it.
And that's
So
why I'll be the first one to
perspective,
tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to tell you I never save those survivor files. I'm using them all the time because you've already hit the nail on the head. They're too valuable. They're too valuable to use. Those passive buffs, whether it's gathering buffs, whether it's squad load, whether it's attack or defense or HP. Like, I mean, these are massive passive buffs that can really go to benefit things. Squad defense, squad damage reduction,
damage reduction,
Yeah.
skill increase.
Yeah.
There's all kind of good stuff from those. And if you set them right, you have to make sure your lead heroes are there, and you get really good perks out of it. And it's often all these little things that all these
Yeah, they all
difference
start
in
to
the
add
fight
up.
and feel fight. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So with all that being said, I mean, we could continue around the horn, but I think the general consensus is that most people kind of like the refinery. It adds a new layer of, like you're talking about, a new layer of like context, a new layer of like, nuance to the game, a little bit more balance in the sense of, kind of creating more of that, like less from the beast focus, more on everything else. But like I said, I look at it and I'm like, every opportunity, and I say the same thing about the Gold Vault. The Gold Vault was the best addition this game's ever had, but in the same breath, it was also one of the worst things this game has ever added. Right? Like the ability, the free ability to give 5% of what an alliance spends to the alliance, however they seem fit, is a great thing on its surface. But when you look at how often or how it can be manipulated or how it can be taken advantage of, like, and then you read about people stealing alliances, selling alliances, stealing gold from the alliances and running away. Like the amount of shady shit that happens because it's real life money. People will do that kind of stuff. I mean, I was talking to someone today who was telling me how this guy would create multiple accounts, go create fake drama in a region to try to coerce people into selling them or giving them big accounts so that they can fight off the people harassing them when it's him harassing himself. And I'd never thought of that type of shit. But as soon as you add real money, the value of real money, people go crazy over that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, go
That's
ahead.
insane.
talking about the refinery and the auction house, I mean, they don't want to have like an internal economy being developed within the player base, and they don't have control of it. So they had to add little minor details about, linked gold, unlinked gold, to just get a control over it.
Mm-hmm. But and they add things like the 3-day hold from buying stuff and reselling stuff. They add the difference, which to be personally honest, I think is a ridiculous rule. They add the you can't like it'll be a random you get like a random assortment of weapons, right? I'm just sitting there going so you can't even sell to your own alliance. You can't even sell internally to your own alliance. So they're doing a lot of things to hinder the community as much as they can, and in turn piss on the free-to-play player.
It's again about getting to have the control.
Yeah.
That's the way I have controlling.
But yeah, it's it's one of those things. Chad, I'd ask you your opinion, but of course you've been gone from the game for a while, so you haven't experienced this. This has all kind of been through what we've been telling you about it. But from your perspective as the outsider looking in, what do you think about this new edition, Chad?
Well, I guess first I would echo what Fire Medic said. I think he said it perfectly as far as a heavy spinner's perspective is concerned. I personally believe that the game can get too big. There's only so much stuff a person can keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as far as time in the day is concerned, mentally, everything. There's only so much a person can keep up with. I think they're just making it too big. But I feel the same way he feels in regards to feeling like you have to get involved with it, because otherwise you leave your alliance to fend for themselves when you're the person most equipped to utilize that particular aspect. So if I were still involved, I would be heavily involved in it. And it seems like a great way to increase my might and my strength.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like just one more aspect that has blossomed. I feel really bad for the free-to-play players. I almost wish that IGG would make a separate server for non-spenders. Like, they should be able to have their own Warzone. Like, it should be a complete non-spenders Warzone. Like, you can elect to go into the spenders category, or you automatically graduate to the spenders category as you spend a certain amount, kind of like they do with the Commanders Club.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like that, because it just doesn't seem like there's any really fair way to fix it. But I do want to comment on something though that you mentioned.
Sure.
You had made mention to balancing. You said something to the effect of instead of building more elements, they should correct the other elements. And you mentioned changing the metrics on something that they already made. I disagree with that, but I think you would agree when you hear my point. I don't like it when I pay for something and then they change it. So if I purchase a hero, which they've done in the past, if I purchase a hero, I spend all that money on, whether it's on files or whatever I did to try to get the fragments for this hero, and I acquired this hero, and then they say, you know what? Never mind, he no longer has an area attack. Then I feel like that's one of the crappiest things that IGG can do, because I purchased him because of that particular quality, and then they change that quality for the sake of balancing. So it's complicated when you got people spending money for an item to turn around and change the metric on the thing that they already acquired.
Sure. But in the same breath, Chad, I mean, we could say IGG is gonna do whatever's in the best interest, because in the same breath they'll sell you the Cynthia and Catherine skins for $400 collectively, whereas you can get it for $5 on brand new accounts, and they do that openly.
I mean that's the way it works in the real world. I mean, in the real world, with inflation, you can, the person that bought their house today is not going to buy the house at the same price as the person that bought it 20 years ago.
Sure.
So
but to
the
say
economy is going to change.
Right. But here's my point: the fact that it's still $400, but it's $5 to everybody else. If it was now $5 to everybody, I would agree with you. But they keep it $400 to certain people at certain age categories, right? Certain account categories, regardless of what they're actively selling it to new people. And that becomes my problem.
That's another concern. I don't think that my concern necessarily negates that concern. I think they both can be concerns.
That's true.
And another thing I wanted to mention was D3 was talking about the survivor cards. I think that's probably one of the few things they did right. Because if you look at the survivors, you can spend money on specific types of survivors,
Mhm.
which don't necessarily make you a significantly more dangerous player in the middle of an event, such as the one that kills zombies for you or Isabel that farms for you. But all the other files that actually increase your might, free to play players are getting those by the dozens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that they did that nobody's ever complained about. Like no one's ever said, "Man, these survival files really suck, man. They should get rid of these things." Like everybody's happy with that because everybody's able to acquire them. If you play the game and you play the game smart and play it often, you're gonna get them.
Sure, but wouldn't you also agree? Because there was a very important point that was made. It's not just about the fact that everyone can get those survivor files. It's the fact that most people are entirely ignoring those survivor. They don't give a shit because they don't see the value in them like you would the experience or the equipment that we now have for our troops.
I think it's a good point, and I think maybe some people don't value them, but I think most of the people that save them, and I'm guilty of it, I think they save them for stuff like Alliance League. I don't think they're necessarily not wanting to use them. I think they're wanting to use them in a way that gets them more rewards. Like I knew people when they first came out, they were like, "I'm not going to use them because I think they'll be added to TC one day."
Mhm.
So they're just piling them up because they're expecting that to be another TC metric one day. So I think those people are just trying to maximize the benefit they get from them, not necessarily just saying, "I don't care about them."
Sure, but I mean, let's be honest though. Do you know what your survivor might was?
No,
Like let's ask ourselves a couple quick questions. What was your top armament set?
my top armament set,
Yep.
7.2, I think 7.1, 7.2.
Okay, and what's your vehicle might?
I don't know.
Do you know a close approximation of what your vehicle might is?
I have no idea.
Okay, and then what about your survivor might? No idea, right?
No.
But here's my point. The most important things, and sure, maybe not necessarily the vehicle might. I mean, we should know what our vehicle might is. Mine's, I think, 6 million. But we know armaments. We should know vehicles. But nobody knows their survivor might because it's not really as influential as, say, beasts, right? We know what our
I
beast might
disagree with
is.
that. I know mine.
You know your what? You know what your survivor might is?
Yeah.
What's your survivor might?
It's somewhere between 2.5 and 3. I know that.
That's it. You know, if you have that much, that's crazy because I don't even think mine's that high. Awa! You
I've
guys saw that too,
always-
right?
You got me
And
one
this
look.
is something when the survivors came out, maybe I did not understand what they were at the time because they were still new. But very early on, I realized the importance of survivors because a survivor like Kara, right? Kara, however you want to pronounce it, she adds hospital capacity.
Sure.
And that kind of survivor to a player like me,
That's
that
a big deal.
cannot for the and it's like we struggle with matchmaking a lot.
Mhm.
And even when we are matching right, I'm always fighting above my fighting weight, right?
Of course.
So for me, even that added 1,000 each level she went up was a huge deal. The survivors reduced the training materials you use, they increase the training speed, your adventure attack, anything and everything you can think about, they affected.
Sure.
So I really did know about it, and I save my survivor searches as well. It's not like I don't, but it's the same as saving for TC, isn't it? You're just saving it for a month instead of saving for 3 months.
But let me ask you a question though. That's your understanding of survivors. How long have you known about that?
Since they came out.
Okay. Do you think that that's the average person's understanding of it though?
Yeah, because honestly, I've been on the Alliance chat, and maybe like this is like me talking about an average person is because my view is like limited to GrOP.
Mhm.
But a lot of the groups that I was in or I am in, there was a lot of talk about survivors and how once they reach level 50, you can recycle all the extra frags you get.
Mhm.
People do know the importance of survivors. Maybe the bigger players do not. But I can tell you that players like me, low spenders, free players, that they know it and they value it.
I want to add something to this. So I just went and looked, And I didn't realize until I went to go look that it's not even on your info page. You had to go to Survivors to see it.
That's
That
right.
could be why a lot of people don't know what it is, because it's not included with the list of things that you typically would look at. Like, I would only know the other things because I'm looking at my info page. So if I'm looking at my info page, I can see my squad might and all the other stuff. But if it's not there, it's kind of just like out of sight, out of mind. I think that's part of the trick there. Now, I'm not saying that players shouldn't be concerned.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, I think that's the reason why people unconsciously ignore it, because it's not on the page where you look up your might.
Yeah, but that's not where I get my might from, my might for stuff anyways. Because my armament might, I'm not talking about my total armament might. That's an inflated number. I'm talking like, you know what your main march is, because that's in the category, in the screen at which you make that march, right? Or at which you armament stuff is when you're looking at your heroes. Same with when you're doing
But you
vehicles.
specifically improve that though.
Right, but every time you upgrade your vehicles, your might changes right on your vehicle page. So you can't go to
You
your
also
vehicle page without seeing
specifically
it.
improve that. So
Right.
each of those things that you mentioned, you
Sure.
have to actively improve a specific area. You choose what you improve. When it comes to Survivors, it's completely random. You're just playing cards.
Sure. But you're even then your survivor might is in the same channel, like blatantly obvious. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're there could be absolutely a position that says maybe it's just not as visual, right? But I still think, and I think I have to agree with Marvin on this one. With Marvin on this one, that I think a lot of it is that people they underestimate the actual validity of survivors. The amount of people that I talk to who are literally sitting on thousands of them. Like thousands of survivor files. I think Fire Medic, were you one of them, or was it D3 that we had gone through? You guys were sitting on a bunch.
I did
I was-
have 1,100 at one point.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
have
Wow.
1,000, but I had a lot. I had like a couple hundred.
yeah. So it's like
And I was sitting on them.
it's a situation where even and I have to take GROP out of this equation, because something that we'll talk about, GROP is one of these alliances that has very knowledgeable players, and we want to make sure that all of our players are as knowledgeable about the nuances, the little things, the little tricks, the little things that we learn about, right? The little mechanics that we learn that change. We want everybody in our alliance to be as knowledgeable about this stuff as possible. So I have to take GROP out of that equation, because we are all super knowledgeable compared to the average player. I think the average player is missing out on a lot of things. And we know this because the average player still puts armaments on their co-leading heroes. I still have people asking me to this day whether they have to put armaments on the co-leading heroes. So to me, it just means that the average player isn't aware about a lot of these nuances. How important is our survivors, for example?
I think you're right, because we've had instances where we've been on call for events and stuff, and we've had like some stuff come up about like when newer players join us and they ask us things about like should we do this, should we do that, is my armament right? So yeah, like a lot of players that are outside GROP do not know. Maybe they do know. Like, I'm not gonna say do not know, but they just don't really understand the mechanics of the game as well. That's what I would say.
Well, yeah. So I think what you're trying to say is that we fostered a perspective, and I don't mean to mansplain. Don't get this twisted, but I'm just trying to make sense of what you were saying. Is that GROP we foster this capability of trying to help people, right? Trying to teach people, get them on the same playing level, right? Teach them all the nuances, all the little things, so that we're all playing from the same field.
Right, and it's not just like something we do for our own alliance, right? Like,
yeah.
I remember one IR just recently, I think maybe 2 IRs ago. We were on the chat, we were having fun. It was one of those IRs which was kind of boring for us because it was all field and no towers.
Right.
And we're all on the IR chat just having fun, joking around, and a player just goes up to you and says, "You know what, Edgy, can I get some advice from you on this?" And he asked on the IR chat, and I saw like multiple people from GROP pop up and try to answer it as best as they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
So,
that mentality is the right one to kind of create within an alliance. And I think one of the biggest things people have asked me recently is like how to determine whether you're in a good alliance, or like what kind of things you should be looking for in a good alliance. So that might actually be a good kind of situation to move on, from the refinery, and just ask ourselves a little bit, what do you think it takes to be in a good alliance? What is it like, what are some of the things that you guys look for when either joining an alliance or, looking for a new place? What are kind of the metrics that you look for? Those green flags, as they say.
Yeah. So initially when I was leaving my old alliance and coming to GROP, it was like Chad mentioned before. We had watched a lot of your Pompeii videos, and it just seemed like a very fun place to play at. Like everyone's just chatting, having fun, and honestly, I'd already done like a podcast with you at that time,
Mm-hmm.
so I knew like you were a really cool person. Like I do not mean to like compliment you right
That's
now.
fine. That's
I really
fine.
do
I'll
not.
just take one of the.
I will take that back, Edgy. You do not. I've said this so many times. I'm not going to compliment you, but I'm going to.
That's fine.
And like it's not just about the leader of an alliance, right? It's about the people as well.
100%.
So when we were coming out of whichever alliance we were at, it was a very bad situation at the time, and it wasn't about the people. We loved the people there. Everyone was great, but for me personally, I had some other reasons as well. But GROP just seemed like the right place to be at,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't wrong about like making the move, right? So for me, moving was a big deal at the time because I have to move like so many accounts with me.
All right.
But I came into GROP. I just, felt so welcomed all of like instantly. Like I had people come in the chat saying, "Oh, you know what? I watched your podcast with Edgy. It was so good." And like, people just made you feel at home.
Mm.
And honestly, that was like one of the things that made me feel so comfortable about being at GROP. Yeah, the matchmaking was really bad when we first joined, like initially. it was, it was so bad. But
You go through our ups
anyways,
and
it
downs.
wasn't.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, just when we matched, right, that first day I was so negative. I was like, yeah, it's not good. It's not looking good. Maybe I might have to leave because I'm looking for better an alliance with better matchmaking, but with the same vibe.
Right.
But I wanted to do an event, like don't want to leave without like getting an experience with you guys, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we did the event with, that was the IR that we matched with FIB
Mm.
and the big guys, and we were the smallest players on that map,
Mm-hmm.
but we still fought to the death, and that kind of spirit just was something I was looking for in game, because I am like that. I will fight like till my last fucking troop and I will not give up. And to see like other players with the same mentality playing like that, but at the same time we were all super chill, we're like joking in the chat, we're still making fun of each other, it was just a
Mm-hmm.
very lively environment, like a fun lively thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-war we're joking around, and it's just something you look for in the game, right? It's the people that we, end of the day, you cannot play the game without good people with you.
That's right. That's right. The community is a big deal for sure. Very, very cool. Thanks, Pixel.
I come from a different perspective. I joined this alliance. Actually, this alliance was recommended by someone else that I played with pretty regularly, and I hate the fact that I don't get to play with them as much because they're in a different region, a different alliance. They're stronger. But the thing that I liked about this alliance is I'm old. I'm soon to be 62 years old, and I play this game, and I'm not a big texter, and I hate texting. My fat fingers get in the way, make me misspell stuff, make me look stupid. I like being able to get online and enjoy the game and voice chat with people. Getting instructions. Even though I may be a strong player, I still don't necessarily always understand the best way to play the game. So it's like when we're in our events like Pompeii, we're on voice chat, we're talking. Other games I played on, that's how we played. I played with people. We always got on voice chat. We had intense battles, and it was always fun because you're able to not necessarily, you could see each other via the cameras if you choose to have it on, but just the banter back and forth while you're having an intense battle was always fun for me. To be in an event and be battling and having to read voice chat and you're doing so many things, it's just another thing you have to focus on, getting instructions by reading the voice chat. And to me, that was a distraction, where if we're on voice, we can sit there and talk about it. Hey, I need you to do this for me. I need you to go here. I'll post coordinates in chat. And then that tells me, okay, look at the chat, see where I got to go.
Yeah.
to me, that's fun in the game, especially during an intense battle, because there's so much going on and things that you have to do. It's just one more distraction, having to read the text chat and text. And if you do it on a computer, that's great because you can type faster on a computer than you can. I mean, some people are really fast texting on a phone. I'm not. So that just takes time that I'm having to text out a message or to reply to somebody when I'm not doing something I need to do battle wise. So that's why I've enjoyed that. And the people here are super nice, knowledgeable, friendly. We all have a good time. There's no drama. That's the other thing. No drama in this alliance. We come together, we have fun. Yeah, we make mistakes. People make mistakes, but we laugh about it. We learn from it. We move on. You know, and I don't see any type of power struggle, you know, for like control of the alliance. And I've been in alliances where that's been the case too. We're in a region where the region works together, I believe. You know, and that's always helpful. You're not having infighting in the regions, at least that I'm aware of. And I've regions where that's happened, you know, where you get a lot of infighting and then it takes away, you know, that's another distractor in the game. You know, sometimes it can be fun, but sometimes it can be a real pain in the ass, you know, having to deal with people that are pain in the asses, you know.
Nobody wants to come back after an event and then have to fight over their home turf.
Yeah, and then also knowing what's going on. I mean, what the objective is. You know, talking strategy. You know, how are we gonna go about this? You know, and talking to other players and getting their perspective. And everybody has an input here. You know, that's cool. We may not all agree, but you know, in life, that's life. I mean, you don't always agree on shit in life, but you know, that is what it is.
Well, that's you bring up a really good point. That's something that I've always been, you know, as true as I can be, is that I want to make sure, and I've always wanted to make sure that everyone's voice is heard, is valid, right? When it comes to strategy, I mean, yes, I end up making the calls, but let's be honest, if you've ever been in any of the games with us, if you've ever been in the live chats, a lot of it is conversation first, you know, throwing out ideas and justifying whether it's going to be better or worse for us. And then, you know, going from there, but it's never just me. It's always a group atmosphere, right? Like that's how I've always tried to maintain things. And it's really what we've been able to foster in GrOP, is that everybody does have a voice. They do have an opinion. They are allowed to say what they want. And there really is no judgment for that, right? We don't talk politics. We don't talk religion, because those are just, you know, opinionated topics. But when it comes to the game, it's like everyone has a right. Everyone feels like they have the capability to say what they need to say to get their point across. And even if we do end up missing that, like there's been an event where we end up missing it, we'll come back. The leadership team will come back and be like, hey, we made a mistake here. You know, next time, let's keep our eyes open for other people making suggestions, or next time, let's keep our eyes open for this type of thing so that we don't make that mistake as leaders again.
Right.
What about you, Remus? What's something you look for? I feel like you haven't had a lot to say here yet.
That's fine. Probably just the group dynamic, really. Like, make sure you get along with the people, you can communicate with them freely. What drew me to GrOp is the additional communication with the voice chat. I'm 40 years old. I used to game games like World of Warcraft and that type of stuff, where voice chat was key between success and failure on some of those raids.
Leroy Jenkins.
I see that in some of your videos, like in some of your Pompeii videos. If you didn't have that voice communication to indicate so-and-so is attacking up top, we need some extra defense up there, it would have taken you a minute or two to get that done via chat versus the voice aspect.
Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, it's just that speed, the communication, that it helps you build a community by speaking verbally when the environment allows.
Which is also funny, because the truth is, and I'm sure that Marvin can attest to this, we didn't really do a lot of voice stuff previously. Like, we had a Discord, And like we would use it from time to time, but it was never like a really big focus in the Alliance previously. And it wasn't really until Dante started pushing for us to do it more often, making the suggestion, and we were like, okay, let's start doing it more for Pompeii. Let's start doing it more for off limits. Let's start doing it. You know, we did it a couple of times, Chad, and then you know, with Zuki and things like that. We started doing a lot more with Zuki with Chaos when they did their, you know, they came to play an event with us. And so it's kind of funny that you mentioned, you know, the voice chat, because that's a fairly new thing to GrOP. But it's obviously, you know, a huge green flag. So anybody at home, you know, don't forget to start a Discord channel, and if you're looking for something for your alliance to make it stronger, use your voice chats. Use your voice chats more often.
Yeah, definitely. In my old alliance, I was constantly trying to get people to join me on voice chats. Like a couple of people would join me from time to time.
Yeah.
We'd shoot the shit, talk like we do here, but not as often as I would have liked.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to really communicate in an event. Like, I think I did one Pompeii with one other person where we tried to communicate, but it was just such two new guys doing it at the same time. It's like, I don't even know what to say. I'm just so focused on the battle.
Yeah. And then trying to lead everybody else and set up markers and everything. It's crazy. It's so many buttons to push. My fingers get sore. I'm glad I'm on PC.
Oh.
I couldn't imagine doing this game on mobile. Y'all are crazy.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, about VC is, you know, in the previous game I played with other players, we would have upwards to 20 people in the voice chat. And most people would mute because the rule was, okay, we got the leaders on, they need to be giving out instructions. And there were battles where you had to coordinate your timing. I mean, down to almost like the split second. And to do that in chat is almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do that via voice communication, do countdowns, things like that. So that was the environment I came from. And so when I came to this game and you know, a lot of us came from that previous game to this game, and then it fell apart. But we still did the same thing. We would get into voice chat during any type of battle that we were doing. I mean, even in this game, some events, you know, timing is kind of critical. But, you know, when we're doing it multiple alliances, that's hard to do, you know, via text. Some people do it really well. I'm not one of those people. It's kind of like, get me in voice, tell me when to go, and I'll be ready, and I'll push the button to go.
Yeah, that's right.
Know?
That's right. Give me a direction and let me go, boys.
Yeah, pretty
exactly.
much. So, but that's me. That's the way I enjoy playing. So,
fire medic's like a little pit bull on a chain, just ready to go.
Yeah, once I have my shit set up right.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've gone through counts with a lot of people, and I think you know, one of the biggest common things is that it's just there's a lot of nuance to the game that, because the developers haven't been very open with it, a lot of things get missed, right? So like I made a mention about armaments on co-leading heroes. It's still a very common thing to see happen, where people will still have, like, they'll have armament sets on every single hero they can, not realizing that that's making it worse for them. And like not realizing that they have so much potential within their own bag to get the armament sets that we want. Which brings up our next topic. We want to talk a little bit about armaments today, just because I want to kind of get a feeling on how everyone's armament sets are going with all the progress that we have going in now onto equipment and troop equipment. They're basically having us forget about armament. So where are your armament sets at now?
Coming along
Mine are
slowly.
pretty decent.
What do you got, D3? Let's start with you.
So you know, I'm an infantry main player, and I have currently I have 4 gold sets above 3 million for
Nice.
armaments with my supreme set. It's not, my supreme set isn't very good, but I have two like of the rare hones on it, so I guess that's decent. That superb set gets to about 4.6 itself, so
Nice.
I mean it's pretty decent. And I you know, I've been focusing mainly in the field for the past like year or so I feel like I've been pretty effective there, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you have your armament sets above that 3 million, I mean, the average is now raising. I think it's closer to 3.5. So I think the suggestion is that you want to have your armament sets kind of getting closer to that 3.5 before we start talking about really doing awesome trades in the field. But yeah, above 3 to 3.5 is going to be right around where that average is. And if you got 4 around that sets, that makes sense. I've only got 1 at 4.9, so everything else is like 3.6, 3.2, 2.5,
Mm.
1.1.
Yeah, it'd be hard to get above that, 3 and change unless you're getting red hones on those gold pieces or more superb pieces.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Marvin? What's your top set right now?
Well, I have a range set at 5.77 million.
Nice.
But I also have versatility because I do field a lot of the time. So I have another range set at 3.6 million. I have a rider set at 3.6, and I have a third range set at 3.1. So like I really have it spread out because I do field with five squads at a time. So
You're one of those crazy types. Yeah, I understand. I get it.
yeah, all out, and lay on the floor.
Yeah. Fill up that hospital with every tube type. I get you.
That's right.
But 5.7 is nice. Let me guys ask you a question. Are there any, like, if you look at your armaments, what are your guys' opinions on like the garrison versus the rallies? Like, do you guys have mostly like, are they focused sets, or are they mostly like uniform that you can kind of swap over as you need? What's your kind of opinion on those?
Well, my main issue for Marvin here, main issue is I have too much of those red hones that are just for rally or garrison, and I hate it because it's hard to get rid of a red hone that's great, but it's not helping me 80% of the time because I'm
Yeah.
only doing so many rallies, and I barely do any garrison, so I'm trying to roll them out and replace them, but I mean, the luck of the draw of holding is just
Horrible.
It's
Yeah.
just it's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. You can openly admit it.
horrendous.
It's horrible. It's
Yeah,
horrendous.
it's
It's a
horrendous.
trashy.
Yeah. You got it. You catch my drift.
Yeah, exactly. But still, sitting on 5.7, getting close to that 6 mil, that's pretty awesome. 6 million's another big hurdle, so I can appreciate that. It's like once you get to 6, it's like that next trudge to 7 becomes a real headache.
So when you say armament set, your armament power, are you talking about when it's attached to your hero, what the hero power is?
Yeah, exactly. Like what's your strongest hero might?
Right. Okay.
And I think Chad already said his was what, 7.2, something like that, 7.2 on that Rubina. It's enough to make me cry just a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. I had to unmute, but yeah, correct.
Yeah, it makes me sad. We'll never see that Rubina again. But it's
well,
okay.
That 5.7 that Marvin has is really right there, because when I got to about 5.7, it was just a matter of just like one honing challenge, saving up for one honing challenge, and I think that put me at around 6.5.
Yeah.
And then after that it was just piece by piece chipping away at those rally homes that he's talking about, trying to make them more universal. And then once I finally got those rares in there, then it was pretty much set then.
It's kind of awesome, though. I'll be honest, though. It's kind of awesome that we have you in the chat tonight, because of the fact that, like, as I've mentioned, you've recently quit the game. And so seeing the perspective from the outside looking in, especially from a player who was here, it really just kind of, it tickles my brain a little bit, because, like, there's so much, like, for example, what caused you to quit in the first place?
I would say the straw that broke the camel's back was essentially when somebody was able to throw a bunch of offensive comments out there towards another player in the game. And I know from experience that they'll never do anything about that, even though it violates their community guidelines. It means absolutely nothing. They set the community guidelines as a deterrent, but there are no consequences. And I was a bit disgusted because all the other community guidelines that affect their bottom line, they enforce that rigorously. Like they don't hold back on that. They will ban you in chat if you're talking about anything that, such as, I've heard players say that they were talking about selling an account, and they said they got banned for chat. And IGG doesn't want that, because they would rather that person, rather than spend that money to buy that account, they'd rather them spend that money to build their account.
Exactly.
So IGG's they're trying their best to block that as much as they can. But if you call somebody all types of names, talk about raping their mother or murdering them and their children, IGG won't do anything about it, even if you report them. So that was what made the decision for me ultimately.
Mhm.
But it was compounded on just the fact that the game has expanded too much already, so it left a bad taste in my mouth,
Sure.
and a little bit of a disgust with IGG's their mechanics, the way that they do it.
Like their business
So
practices.
yeah, it's too aggressive.
Mhm.
There are other ways that they can, like, I was really upset that again you can't even talk about bots without getting your account banned from chat.
Mhm.
But they banned people's accounts when the bot thing was going on. They banned people's accounts, but again, they won't do anything for bullies. And that they could have handled that completely differently. They could have monetized the bots. They could have done it just like they did with Isabel. They could have come up with a way for the alliance itself to get bots in their alliance. There's so many ways to monetize that, but instead of monetizing it, they restricted it. They turned around and said, "You know what? We're only going to let you have so many helps." Like, we've been dealing with those helps for the past 3 years, and to fix an issue that you feel like is costing you money, you've decided to just restrict the issue instead of finding a way for you to make money from it also.
Mhm.
It sucks.
It does, and I think the healing, you bring up the healing change. That was probably one of the things that broke the camel's back for a lot of people. The amount of whales that quit about right around the time of the healing change, right around the time of the World Championships, because of the debacle that happened at Worlds, is pretty astronomical. And I think we're all starting to see this now, because it's almost like they're having to throw out these events to kind of keep people intrigued, right? Because like the biggest talk right now is the refinery, right? Is the capability for free to plays to make a decent chunk of change, effectively for free. And everyone's talking about IGG, oh, you did a good thing. But again, I'm sitting here going, they did it again. As horrendous as IGG is, and we all support them, right? We all give them, even if it's not very much, we all support them in their physical abuse and mental abuse of their player base, right? But fuck, they did it again. They came up with something that is going to be intriguing, that's going to keep people addicted, that's going to keep people spinning, that's going to keep people grinding, coming back to your phone. I mean, let me ask you a question. Since the refinery came out, how many of you have been on your phone or your PC far more than you were previous to that?
Not me. I've been less, actually.
I gotta get those, man. Yeah, I gotta get those pieces.
Yes, Olivia, you've been on it more. I know Remus has been on it more. He's been spending his entire time in the auction house. That's right. Pixel's been on literally all night, scoping out the auction house. And I literally titled my video, right, "Don't put your phone down ever again." And guess what? That's effectively what this update has been. And I think it's absolutely crazy. They've done it again. They've managed to find a way to dig that like addiction knife just a little bit deeper. Do you know what I mean? Just a little bit more into the living flesh of the player base. Ooh, that was visceral.
But true.
Yeah, what can I say? It's IGG. Unfortunately, it's been what IGG does. And I think it's kind of crazy because like the more games that I look at, the more I see this as kind of a constant thing for them. It's not just a one of. And so I'm wondering how much of this is like strategic. They understand the falling of their game, and so they're kind of milking it as much as they can while it dies, in hopes of coming up with something news. What was that, Chad?
I think that they're racing. I think that they feel like the game is about to dry up because of how aggressively they've been. So they decided to just be more aggressive and get it as quickly as possible instead of trying to actually. Even when you were talking about balancing, you were like, "Oh yeah, well they had to add the refinery to counter the effect that the beast had." I was thinking to myself, man, I just think they were just being greedy. Just had a whole new way to make money. But you could be right that they were thinking that also would fix balancing. But I think that they just are. I think their developers are always being instructed to find a new way to sell something.
Sure.
And I don't blame them for that because it's capitalism. well, they're in Singapore. But anyway, they're still a private market. They still want to make money. So I
Right.
don't blame them for that. I just think that they haven't figured out that there are other ways to make the money that aren't so aggressive. Like most of the games of this type, you spend money to get things faster.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really that you're spending money to get things that only people with money can get. It's because they started with speed ups. Like, okay, well, everybody's gonna get T6, but you can spend money to get the T6 faster.
Right.
That's how this thing started. And most games of this type are that way. But they've started to paywall so much stuff that it's hurting them because now people are quitting, people are refusing to spend, and they're not getting money from the people that would otherwise spend if they just would have had it more moderate and more in regards to just getting it faster. Because I was spending initially because I just wanted to get it faster. T6 is when I first started spending when I went from T5 to T6.
Sure, but the difference is this refinery, in order to actually get good stats in your equipment, you have to spend. You can't expect, like, you literally have to. There's no choice not to.
That's another point to why it's not really a good thing, in my opinion, because they've made it a requirement to keep up, which is why I said they should just have a separate free to play platform, because this is complete pay to win. And so people that are free to play, that want to have that chat, that want to affiliate with us and enjoy that conversation that Fire Medic and Remus were talking about, how we're always on call and we just love interacting with each other. But then when we go into battle, there's some people like you who feel like they can't contribute as much. Now, as a asterisk, I want to mention that Yoop is one of the most amazing free-to-play players I've ever seen. He has a very low might account, and he puts in work. So it can be done.
Absolutely.
But I can understand where people like him come from when they feel like they can't keep up because they're constantly getting stepped on to try to play with the people they love playing with.
It's a really good point. That a lot of it comes down to, the capabilities of the player. But I look at Yoop, for example, always as kind of my shining star. Whenever I have people who come in here and say they can't score their ratio or they can't do enough in events, and they're sitting at 130 million, 140 million, and they're like struggling to get points. I'm like, I understand, but when I have Yoop, who's literally 65 million might, fighting in elite and scoring 65 million points, like, you can't tell me it can't be done. A lot of it just comes down to whether you're, as a player, willing to put in where you need to sacrifice, which is going to be filling rallies and garrisons, killing off your troops, because there is those guaranteed kills and losses, right? And not just doing it in the field where you're going to get your points, but you can heal yourself away from it. A lot of it is sacrificing your troops in those, fight matches where you're putting in 2 or 3 marches into a tower because everybody else is drained, but you've got 1 million troops left. Like, are you going to be that player, or are you going to be the one that says, okay, I'm done, guys. Thanks very much. My hospital's full. And I think one of the good things that we have at GrOp is that most of us don't give a shit about our hospital. We give a shit more about the overall, result. But that being all said, guys, it is one of those situations where I look at the clock and I wonder, how has it already been 1 hour and 15 minutes? It's already been a crazy amount of time. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. We should, kind of talk one last thing about one last topic, kind of go about one last, hurrah from everybody, and then we'll get a wrap out on this video. And I'll be honest, it's been an absolute blast. These group conversations, especially for me, are a lot of fun because I get to learn a lot about you guys as well. And getting that kind of group perspective is beneficial for me because it helps me help the community out more, give me a better understanding of what the community needs. So I want to say thanks a lot for y'all joining me. But before we go any further, I do want to ask y'all one last question before we wrap up the video. And that's going to be one last group question. We'll go around the horn and we'll get everyone's opinion. What would be your advice that you want to give IGG in regards to DLS having the longest lifespan that it can? What advice would you give IGG if they were listening to this podcast tonight? Marvin, why don't you start? You're at the top.
Yeah, if you can hear me.
Yep.
The one thing I'd say is slow down. You're releasing too much stuff too quickly. We don't have time to adjust. We are getting something new. Slow down.
Perfect. Slow down. I understand that. Chad, how about you?
I've been thinking about this for a while, so I know exactly what I want to say. So remind me, what's the privilege? I believe the IGG should have helps like an auto clicker for a specific account, an auto clicker that clicks on the help button for the privilege subscription. And I believe they should restore all of the helps the same way it was before. But they have an auto clicker that comes with the privilege subscription that only applies when you're logged in. That way, just that alone, if we've got 30 people in a battle in combat, then the auto clicker is clicking, it's healing, it's doing its thing. It's not excessive. It doesn't completely distort the balance of the game. It gives everybody access to healing when they're all online together, which makes it, in my opinion, fair. It's another thing when there's only one person online. If there's only 10 people online, there's only going to be 10 auto clicks. I think that that's fair because it encourages people to purchase the privilege subscription just to get the auto clicks in the alliance. That's one way I think that they could monetize that situation to get more money from it, but not restrict people from having access to that. And they remove the bots that way, in theory, because there's always going to be some outliers. But that's just my opinion.
That's a really good advice. I think that's by its own right, just tackling one specific topic, which I think is healing, and I think it's something that they've really dropped the ball on. So I can definitely appreciate that. Pixel, what about you? What advice would you give?
Oh my god, honestly, there's so much. Like, I kid you not, there's so many things I could say to IGG, and it still would not cover everything all of us feel on a daily basis with them. But I really do think it's not even about slowing down or stopping at this point. It's just about balancing the game. Find the balance. Don't stop putting out the content you're putting. Don't stop putting out the collabs you're putting. Don't stop. Just balance it out at least. From matchmaking to your arenas, everything is fucked up right now. I was just in my arena and I somehow managed to defeat a full ranged March, a full 5 ranged March set. I managed to defeat as an infantry main because I had good squad equipment on. Yeah, I'm happy that I did it, but it just sucks because there's no balance anymore.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Balance is something I've been screaming about from the top, from my soapbox for I don't know how long now. I think balance is a big thing. And just to kind of jump back, Chad, because I remembered something that you had mentioned in regards to balance about changing the metrics. I agree. There's a difference between, hold on a second. There's a difference between changing an ability so that it goes from, say, being area of effect to not being area of effect, versus just changing the metrics and bringing down the damage a little bit, or increasing the defense. I look at what they did for Jaden when they changed Jaden, or I look at what they did for Julia when they changed Julia, and I look at those as good changes because they really did take a situation where both of those heroes were at the time really overpowered, and brought it down to a situation that allowed them to be a little bit more, playable for the average person. Still super strong. Julia was still at the time the best hero in the game. But when they modified her silence, to give it, I believe they gave it a timer or something like that, so that you couldn't do the same target more than once in a certain specific time. But they gave her a little bit of a change, and those types of changes I think are kind of needed, because otherwise we get situations where we have Ethan, who since release has been the best hero in the game. Even with Cedric out, even with these new heroes that have come out, even with the, Rubina coming out after him, Ethan is still the best hero in the game. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that his stats are super inflated. He provides something when he's fully upgraded, something like 49% attack, 48% HP, and 40% defense. These are stats you don't normally see on heroes, and they're absolutely astronomical. And yet he's still able to do that. So I think there has to be some capability for them to come back and balance it. And even if that is just coming back and balancing the regions, like you mentioned, preventing people from going to different regions based on their might, or playing in specific brackets based on their might, getting a debuff based on what bracket they want to play in, right? Like all these things they could absolutely enact to help balance the game. But I think the biggest question comes down to is, how are they going to balance it? Do they balance it by add new stuff? Do they balance it by modifying what's already here? Right? Because obviously
well, if
they're
they modify
matchmaking.
something that I paid for, I think that they should give me a monetary kickback. I mean, I'm not going to buy a high performance vehicle and then take it in for an oil change, and that's comparable to an update, and then they say, you know what, by the way, we removed your rear view camera.
Sure.
I think that once I pay for it, you have no right to alter that, because that becomes mine and that's what you sold me. And technically, I guess we're leasing it. But still, I feel like they should give me a monetary kickback. I mean, if I spent a large amount of money on, I don't care if it's just frags, like you should return 10% of the frags. I mean, I don't know. There should be something to it. I can't think of the answer. I just don't think that they should just be able to do that, because if they have the right to do that, which they do, I guess I should say they have the right. But if they have the practice of doing that, then what's the limit? Who's to stop them from going too far? Like, maybe you mentioned the right ways that they could do it, but I want to stop them from doing it the wrong way, which means they shouldn't be able to do it at all, because you can't trust them to have good discretion in regards to taking back what we paid for. Like, once we pay for it, that should be what we get. Just, again, my opinion.
I get where you're coming from, and I think my only rebuttal to that, Chad, the only kind of rebuttal I have to that is I look at this, because it's a competitive environment and people are paying to be competitive. I would equate it to, let's say, a racing league like NASCAR, right? So you're going to dump a whole bunch of money into your NASCAR car, but all of a sudden the game is the NASCAR itself is going to change its rulings on what you can have in your car. They're not going to pay you. You just have to change your car in order to continue participating in that competition. Like, you have to maintain playing within the set rules of NASCAR. So if the game changes the metric to make it more fair and more balanced for everybody, because they noticed, like previously, the fuel octane or something like that was too high, which allowed the vehicles to go too fast, or whatever it was. Certain vehicles were taking advantage of the system. There is steps to balance. They did the same type of thing in Smite, in Dota, in League of Legends, like all those types of games, even in things like COD. Well, where they'll come in and they'll change the damage stats, so they'll change the bullet spread on a gun. Like, all those things need to be able to be modified. Like, I get the perspective of saying, well, I paid for it, I want it as is. But let me ask you a question. If they released a hero that was super broken,
I believe they have the right to upgrade. I don't think they have the right to downgrade. They can always say, I'm going to give you more for your money. I just don't think they have a right to say, you know what, I'm gonna take away what I gave you.
So then maybe that means that they have to make sure that they're releasing weaker heroes first. Understat
yeah, it would make
heroes.
more sense to me that they would turn around and buff Jaden than to debuff Ethan. Like, that to me makes more sense. Even though Jaden is free to play, it makes more sense to me that if you feel like Ethan is overpowered, then you need to equalize everybody else, because somebody bought Ethan as is.
Sure.
Like, obviously your system is broken. You went too far with him. So what can we do with these other players? And so instead, what they did, they said, you know what? Let's come up with more super weapons and make them pay for that, instead of just making all the other heroes equally balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
agree
with that. I can agree with that. I definitely find common ground with that statement. But anyways, let's continue on. Otherwise, we'll start for another 25, 30 minutes just chatting about the same stuff. Fire Medic, you're next. What advice would you give IGG?
Oh man, there is so much, but here's one that I've thought about. I mean, when you get so far in this game and you max something out, there should be a way for IGG to be able to say, okay, you've reached this level. You no longer need these items when you're doing an event.
Amen.
Changing the items that you get that are useful, or giving you some ability to be able to say, okay, you have all these items that you no longer need, that are useless to you. Give you an ability to be able to exchange them for something that's useful at a fair value, not okay, it's going to take 1,000 carbon fiber to get one golden frag.
Mhm.
You know, make it to where that carbon fiber that you're still collecting that's useless to you is actually worth exchanging for something that is useful to you.
I think you're right, man. I was probably gonna say
That or eliminate it altogether and increase the rewards you're getting with stuff that is actually useful for your level of account. You know, um, you know, this game can be profitable for a long time if you're not greedy and you're not fair, or you're fair, you're not greedy. Increase your rewards, make the rewards better as you progress in the game, because you are spending to progress,
Mhm.
but you don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, that's what they want you to do,
Sure.
but if you have, let's say you have 10 people that are spending 1,000, but you have 1,000 people that are willing to spend $100, you're going to make more money, I think, from those 10,000 people or 1,000 people spending 100 than you are from those 10 that are going to spend, thousands. You know,
Fire
and
medic, there's only
and
one.
it keeps
Sorry,
the
go ahead.
longevity of the game going.
Yeah.
That,
See,
I guess that's my point, because people won't quit. They'll continue to play the game.
sure. I totally agree with that, except for the fact that I look at one metric, right? I look at and for the most part you would be correct. But we're not talking about one or two players spending thousands of dollars. We're talking about one or two players literally spending millions of dollars. You look at SafeMe,
Yes.
for example. SafeMe, from what we all know, has spent over $1 million on his account. So if you look at what he has spent, that $1 million is going to outpace 50,000 players, each spending $200 each. That 1 million, that one individual player spending $1 million. So it's not about making more money off the small people, because they don't give a shit about those players, because the metric is so high. There is so much money coming from the whales, and this is why I think that they're entirely disconnected from the community. They're in their own community, they're in their own thing, and they don't realize that all of their actions influence the rest of the game, right? So I look at it, I'm like, it's not just one or two people spending, thousands of dollars versus 100 people spending $100. It's literally 50,000 people spending $200 versus one guy spending $1 million. Now, granted, that's $200, a month, for example, versus $1 million right now. But you can start to see, even if we look at what somebody could spend, we started to do the math. A person, if they wanted to buy every pack, could literally spend something like $1,500 to $2,000 every single day.
Yes.
With new packs every single day, and you can guarantee some of these guys would clean it out every day.
That's just the ones that are worth it. You're not calculating the ones that aren't.
No.
Because if
I
you
was
do-
looking at like even the other shitty ones, not including some of the like the copies, some of the ones that you have like 3 or 4 copies of, but going through like the premium
but
packs
I'm
and stuff.
talking about, like, when I was just doing an upgrade on my beasts,
Yeah.
and all these, I think I have like 3 packs that popped up.
Oh yeah,
So
for like
you
beast
have
parts
to,
and stuff.
Yeah. So you have to put those pop-ups into the equation as well, because there's a lot of people that do buy those on a daily basis.
Yep. And so when you look at say 2,000 American, that's on a very, very, very conservative side of things. And you know that these guys are spending every single day on every single pack every single time. So it's not about one or two people paying $200 a month. It's about 10 people spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 every single day.
I was just gonna say to Fire Medic's point though. You mentioned 50,000 people spending $200, and that does seem implausible. Not you, but HG said that. And that does seem implausible. But to Fire Medic's point, he's saying that if the game wasn't run the way it was, and I'll use the example of how much it's expanded, then of those 45, because I had to go and look, 45 million downloads.
Mm-hmm.
45 million downloads, and we know that there's not 4 million people playing this game. And I could be wrong, but I don't think there's 4 million people playing this game. But
No, there's not even
let's
close.
assume, yeah, not even close. But so out of those 45 million downloads, imagine how much money they'd make off small accounts like Fire Medic mentioned if there was more retention. They're not retaining players. They couldn't possibly be retaining players because once you start the game and get past the first tutorial, you get overwhelmed with the dozens upon dozens of ways that you have to grow your account just to stay competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a pathway to getting 50,000 people spending $200, but they can't because they retain so few players by being so aggressive and greedy.
Now, I guess the question is, do you think that they would have the server capacity to be able to handle 50,000 players?
Excellent question. Absolutely not.
No. They'd have to put the money into the servers. They'd
Like
have
this-
to reinvest into the game.
Like this becomes my biggest concern, because as much as we can say, like it all comes down to what IGG does, and IGG is always focusing on their own bottom line. You have to think these guys have got to be some of the smartest people, like not IGG specifically, but the people that work in this industry that come up with these pricing manager guys have got to be so goddamn smart to understand how to be able to manipulate humanity so well, right? While providing so little, that you'd have to think that they have thought about that process and said, well, if we just made things cheaper, we can get more for everybody else. But that means we then have to invest more in those players. You see what I'm saying? So it becomes this cost benefit analysis to say what is the overall loss on actually creating a community that, of where we have good balancing, we have good matchmaking, we have all this kind of stuff, versus what it costs outside of that, what they can make off of the 10 people spending $1 million. And I think that's where I'm getting twisted. Because, again, I don't give IGG as much credit as I can throw them, because I've seen them kind of, piss on my back and tell me it's raining all the time. I forgot that saying, so I'm glad I remembered it. Well, here, let's move on. We'll do Remus first then, and then our man D3 can come back and give us afterwards. So Remus, let us know what your advice.
Besides the obvious of slow down.
Sure, yeah. Besides what's already been said.
Yeah. Kind of hope they open up the auction house and expand on it a bit, like make an alliance auction house section to it, so that you can trade within the alliance. Something like that would be nice.
Interesting. I like that idea.
Even open it up as much as not just these new refinement items, like victory badges and stuff that people don't need anymore, being able to send those to alliance members in the same fashion, help those smaller accounts grow to being a fighting level and competing.
Yeah, but in order to do that, they would have to open up the auction mall, the auction. What is the hell is it? An auction house? Jesus. They'd have to open the auction house up to linked gold as well. Because other than that, my problem is, are you going to make it so that people have to buy your carbon steel from you? Like that, you're going to spend gold on carbon steel? Like that to me just goes, if they have to spend for it.
That. I'm sorry for interrupting, but Remus, that is such a good idea, because they could add that element into the Alliance store.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
maybe make the Alliance side of thing, make it that Link Gold works in that side of it.
I mean, maybe, something like that, but they would have to make it capable so that the free-to-play player can make money on the auction house, can hustle their money on auction house, and then use it to the benefit, not just buying packs and things like that.
Yeah. But being able to give the lower players access to the victory badges that are just been sitting for years for some people.
Yeah, my 40,000 that I have in my bag or something stupid.
Yeah. I don't like the fact that the auction house is gold-based. It honestly causes me a bit of anxiety thinking about the fact that it's gold-based and seeing these kind of numbers being pumped out.
Yep.
It's sickening.
It's a little
to
sad.
some aspects.
What's sad to me, Remus? What's sad to me the most is that people are spending on it.
Yeah, I'm guilty too. I've picked up 3 pieces for cheap under like 500 or less for each piece, just so I can try to work on my range set. once I get that, find a fourth piece to work on, I can slowly progress those until I find better, and I'll probably find better once the whales start selling their pieces. Maybe I'll get lucky, but time will tell with that aspect.
Yeah, I can feel that. I have been looking at the thing. I have yet to actually fill out a set for my infantry. Like I'm doing it 1 month, basically 1 month at a time. So it'll take me 4 months to get my equipment up. But like, I'm not running rallies. I'm not running garrison, so I'm not too concerned. I'm only gonna do as hard as I need to. Do you know what I mean? They have a couple changes they got to make to the refinery for sure. But I think you guys have all hit the nails on the head. I mean, telling them to slow down, right? These are the things that we've all been asking for. Like, give us a break, right? The consistent barrage of events. Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I know. I'll try to make it quick though, because I know we gotta close out. It might be too late for this, but if they're listening, I would love for them to hear this. They should have built up, not out. So we're talking about how big the game is. We're talking about expanding it and moving too fast. I think the biggest issue is that they built outwards. They kept adding new things to upgrade from the ground floor. I feel like they should have just built up. They should have added new skills to heroes, not added new heroes with the super weapon. Just add a whole new skill. They should have added new levels to your hospital. They should have added new levels to your headquarters. They should have went from T6 to T7. They should have built up, not built out.
See, that's an interesting thing you bring up, Chad. Because that is a normal progression for a lot of things, right? Like they would drop the tier 6 and then they would, eventually open up tier 7 and things like that. And that's always been a speculation that they will eventually do here, which is why they haven't given us the capability to get rid of these things that are on hand. Right? So that's like half the speculation is that that's what they'll do eventually. But to me, like you mentioned, they are growing out. And I think that's what one of those things that they've noticed in regards to the beast is and that's like half the reason why I think that the equipment is a reaction to the beasts is because they put such a break on the beasts after they release them. So they released them. Then as soon as they released chips, like they had put out information. They're like, we're going to have genes coming right away too. Like we'll have genes in a couple of weeks. And then as soon as beast chips hit and they saw how influential beast chips were, they went, oh shit, now we're not going to drop genes in a week yet. We got to come up with something else to help balance that out before we do genes on our beasts. And that's why I think they have this before they did genes, because they, like, I think it was D3 mentioned, they should have done the refinery before the beasts. Like because of how effective, influential the beasts have been, they should have done this instead of the beasts, I think. But anyways, let's wrap it up here, folks. It's been an absolute blast. We've got a couple of people that have unfortunately disconnected. I'm going to blame technology. I'm going to blame the fact that it's late and they've all got lives. But I do want to give a massive shout out to everybody who stuck around. Chad, Fire Medic, Remus, Pixel, D3, Marvin. Thanks very much for joining me. But before we go, do you guys have any last little bits of things that you want to get off your chest or say before we wrap up?
I kind of do.
Okay, Pixel, what would you like to say?
So again, see, I do not, like, for everyone listening, I do not do compliments with edgy because that's just how we roll. But I really do want to say, we all, like all of us, I'm sure all of us would agree with what I'm saying. Like, you are doing great, man. Like, you helping out everyone in the community with your schools in session, you reaching out to players and talking to them about things if they need. All of that stuff is really appreciated. And honestly, you've created a great community for us. And I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. Oh, no, he's in shock.
I'm tearing up just a little bit. No, honestly, I kid, but I think the biggest thing is that it all comes down to you guys. The community that we create and the community that we foster together is, what really kind of keeps everything going, what allows me to log in every day, what gives me momentum to reach out to the community, to create new content for everybody, to create an environment where people want to be active and help, and they want to get people, learning the game. Even though we sit here and piss on IGG, I look at it as a situation that says we still as much as we don't like IGG, we still like the game enough to come in and actually go through the steps of building up our accounts and getting stronger. Even though IGG doesn't give a shit about us, we still care about the community. We still care about the potential that the community has. And I think a lot of that just simply comes down to everybody who comes in and has that same mentality, right? The same ideology, the concept of realizing that there is potential in the game, not just because of the community that we create, but because of the actual game mechanics itself. It is fun to get involved in big battles, to get involved in big, conflicts, to get involved in big wars, to get strategic on vocal chats, to participate in the PvE events and things that they have. But at the end of the day, the only thing that has me logging into the voice chats and participating in doing that is you guys. So as much as you can say it's me, I think it's all of us. I appreciate it nonetheless, but I think everyone should put
Me
that feather in their
especially,
own
right?
hat.
I'm
Of
the
course.
funny one, right? I'm the most funny one, right?
Yes, you're the most funny one.
I'm
Bring
the
back
funniest.
Dark Seal.
Yeah. Fuck that English. No, I meant I'm the funniest one. You better edit that out, Edgy. No, actually,
Yes,
don't
the
put it in.
funniest
Put it in.
one.
Put it in.
Bring back Dark Seal.
That's right, Fire Medic. Bring back Dark Seal. I believe in behind that 100%. All right, folks. Well, that's all going to wrap.
Antipede.
Double Antipede. Level 20 Antipede. Let's go. But all that being said, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to say thanks very much to all of our guests. It's been an absolute blast. If you haven't already, smash the like button. Comment down below what you think about the current state of IGG and where it's at right now, and what your advice to IGG would be. If you haven't already, share the channel, fill out the notification bell, and if you can, click the join button. Become a member today. It's like $7.99 Canadian, which is like about $5 American, but it goes a long way to helping support the channel. So if you can, click that join button, become a member, and help support the channel just a little bit more. Other than that, folks, love, peace, chicken grease, and until next time. Now you guys say stay lifted.
Lifted.